Hi, my name is Megan Edwards of Focus Communications, and today we're getting an update from Timberline Resources, who's advancing their Eureka gold project in Nevada. Now, the company trades on the Toronto Stock Exchange under the symbol TBR and in the US under the symbol TLRS. Now, this week, the company announced significant oxide gold results from the Oswego target located east of their water well zone. And joining me today to discuss this news is Patrick Highsmith, CEO of Timberline Resources. Thank you for joining me. Patrick, how are you?
I'm well, Megan. How are you?
I'm good. An exciting 2022 so far for Timberline. Now, starting the year with some high-grade gold intercepts throughout the water well zone, and now some great results from the Oswego target. Can you run us through this release and the significance of these results as you prepare for your next phase of exploration on the project?
Absolutely, Megan. Well, of course, I will make forward-looking statements. I've been known to do that. I'm a geologist, so obviously we hope everyone apprises themselves of the cautionary language here. And I should say, Megan, we've announced some great results in the first quarter from our fall and winter program. And our audience has probably heard about some of the drill intercepts we had at the water well zone. And that's just a kilometer away from this target that we call Oswego. Oswego is across a valley about a kilometer away from the water well zone, as I said. And really, after getting some great surface results, we sort of rejiggered the drill program and moved a rig over here, and were able to get these drill holes into the Oswego target kind of out of the plan, so to speak, when we saw how good the surface results were. And the highlights are we've hit gold at surface and very shallow below surface, Megan, in several drill holes. We drilled 9 holes there, and some of the highlights are shown here. 35 meters at 2.32 grams of gold per ton, but that's in oxide mineralization. Now, that's very encouraging. That could potentially mean lower costs in the future if we're able to be able to produce from there. And included in that, from only 6 meters depth, by the way, and included in that was a 19.8 meter run of 3.93 grams per ton. So shallow, near surface. We've done the test work, and from that preliminary test work, it does appear to be oxide mineralization. A couple of the other holes hit decent runs as well, 13.7 meters at 1.3 grams per ton, again, from very shallow depths, including 6 meters of higher grade, almost 2.5 grams. And then from surface, 9.1 meters in a third hole of 1.7 grams per ton. Each of these holes included mineralization over 5 grams per ton, Megan. So that means there's high grade hanging out here at Oswego. Some of this is oxide. It's at surface, and it's got room to grow, both at depth and also in particular to the north here. So encouraging initial results.
Very much so.
Yeah. In this map, we're just showing the lay of the land here. There's a scale bar here at the bottom, 400 meters total width. So there's a resource over at what we call Lookout Mountain. You see high-grade drill intercepts are shown here in red. We chase that high grade out to a new discovery area outside the resource, but nearby, called the water well zone. And then if you jump over a kilometer away, we get to the Oswego target here on the east side of what we call the Graben zone here. And this big blob in the middle is an IP geophysical anomaly that we've been talking about for months now. And it seems to indicate some roots to these systems where we have high pyrite, some carbon moving around. Those are chargeable things. We see those in the electrical geophysics. And as you can see in the next slide, that whole system may be tied together around the IP anomaly. And here we've just shown a surface map. It's a tight scale, so you can really see some detail here. There's a big fault here. We announced in December some really good surface results here, 25 meters of 14.4 grams, 27 meters of 12 grams. And we came in with these holes and drilled underneath that fault and across it in several places. And the best intercept we've been talking about is here in hole 213, 213, drilled to the northeast here. And there's that 35-meter zone of over 2 grams mineralization. There was a historic hole here more than 30 years ago. We weren't so sure about that data or where even that hole was drilled for sure. And we've confirmed, in fact, we do have a great zone of mineralization here. Here's some of the other hits. You see these red bars here. And we think this trend will continue up to the north These holes did not hit good mineralization, so we believe that that zone is going to continue up to the north here and down dip along this big fault, which dips steeply but to the west here. And then the last slide here, Megan, just shows the geometry of this. So this is a cross section looking north up that valley I was describing. Here's the lookout resource. Here's the water well zone with some of that high grade we drilled and announced earlier this year. Big geophysical anomaly in the valley. And then here sits Oswego on the other side of the valley with a big fault dipping down towards that anomaly. And we've hatchered in all the target areas we cannot wait to drill test at Oswego and in the larger Graben zone.
So these Oswego holes were RC holes. Will you be going back to test this area with diamond drilling?
Great question, particularly after the experience we've had over at the water well zone, where the audience will remember we drilled RC holes that hit some decent gold, but when we drilled core holes, we got much better gold recovery, much higher grades. So at Oswego, Megan, it's important to remember these are shallow holes, first of all. So we're above the water table, which means this is dry drilling. The RC is usually reliable in that circumstance, and we don't have to rush in right away with core, since you can see how shallow these intercepts are. However, we have a complicated situation here with a big fault. The earth is just shattered with all the faulting in here, and we will be bringing a core rig in at some point during this program to sort of solidify our geological understanding, to understand these faults, and to test some of this new rock down here. This is called the 9 Mile Formation, which is an important host up at I-80 Gold's project to the north of us, the 9 Mile, and it doesn't even come to surface. And so to make sure we're understanding the geology as best we can, Megan, we probably will put a component of the 2022 program in drill core at Oswego, just like we're continuing to drill core at the water well zone.
Okay. And tying this area together on this map, will you be testing this large IP anomaly at depth?
You know, that's a great question. Some of our fans and shareholders, like at Crescat Capital, Quentin Henney, he wants to get a 1,000-meter hole through the guts of this thing just as soon as we can. And we have already tested this anomaly, as we reported in hole 206. I can just go back and just point that out real quick. A while back, we drilled hole 206. We did test the anomaly. We did hit gold and silver and some really important geology down there, the presence of an intrusive or a granitic rock at the center of this basin here that might be the heat engine that's driving all this stuff. So yes, of course, we're geologists. We can't resist it, Megan. We're going to drill some deeper holes down here along these faults into the favorable host rock that we believe is down there. However, we've got high grade, fairly close to surface. So I think we'll do that first.
Okay, perfect. So you've also closed recently a private placement. Could you wrap us up with an overview of what the upcoming exploration season will bring for Timberline and where you'll be targeting for your next phase of drilling?
Absolutely. We did just close a significant financing. We raised 4.7 million US. That was led by a big gold and silver fund out of Ireland called the Jupiter Gold and Silver Fund, who are now 9.9% shareholders of Timberline. And I brought up this map to speak to the district plans, Megan. This is our whole 70 square kilometer land position. It's a big property, as you can see there with the scale bar in the upper left, 3 kilometers. And at the north of the slide is part of the story. That's I-80 Gold's Ruby Hill Archimedes mine that they've purchased and have just announced some great drill results this week. They're speaking to something like 9 million ounces of historic production and resources there. And really what links this whole thing together, Megan, is a big fault structure that comes through here, going through our Lookout Oswego region right to the north, tying into all that gold up at the I-80 project. So we're thrilled to see you and Downey and the team up there drilling gold, great results, growing that. And of course, we've got about 57% of the district here south of them in our huge land position. And the focus for Timberline this year is obviously going to be to better define the water well zone discovery. We know we've got high grade over at least 400 meters north to south there. If you look closely, you can see the Lookout Mountain target. The water well zone is just east of that. We've also highlighted the Oswego target. So that structural corridor is where a lot of the drilling will be happening this season. I would say, Megan, we'll spend about 60% of our budget in the water well lookout area, around 20 to 25% of it over at the Oswego target we've just spoken about. We have to follow up on those hits we've just had there. And then if you look closely, you'll see a target to the north of that called Windfall. The Windfall is a historic district that has some significant intercepts that we drilled in about 2018, and we haven't been back there since. So we do expect to get back to Windfall, another historic mine, another of 3 producing trends on the Eureka project. So I expect to see the balance of our drilling in the vicinity of the Windfall target, beginning really late this month. The drill rig will show up probably before the end of May.